Hello everyone. In this video I will talk about some important pediatric board alerts. These board alerts summarize the concepts, principles and most salient details of clinical practice. Number 1. Premature babies should be immunized in accordance with their postnatal chronologic age. During the first year of life, hypotonia is more common than hypertonia in patients who are ultimately diagnosed with cerebral palsy. Sulfonamides and anti-epileptic medications, particularly phenobarbital, carbamazepine, and lamotrigine, are the medication most commonly associated with Stevens-Johnson syndrome and toxic epidermal necrolysis in children. An infant with vomiting, lethargy, hypoglycemia, and no ketones on urine analysis should be evaluated for a fatty acid oxidation defect. Syncope is more likely to be of cardiac nature if there is sudden onset without prior dizziness or awareness, occurrence during exercise, history of palpitation before fainting, an injury from a fall, or a positive family history of sudden death. Older children with unexplained unilateral deformity of an extremity, particularly pes cavus, should have screening MRI to evaluate for intraspinal disease. Patients with atypical Kawasaki disease are younger, especially less than 1 year old, and most commonly lack cervical lymphadenopathy and extremity changes. Left shoulder pain after abdominal trauma is worrisome because it could represent blood accumulating under diaphragm, which result in pain referred to the left shoulder due to splenic trauma. Always consider ovarian torsion in the differential diagnosis of abdominal pain in girls, particularly during the ages of 9 to 14 years, when ovarian cysts as potential lead points are more common because of the maturing reproductive hormonal axis. A falling serum sodium concentration during diabetic ketoacidosis treatment is worrisome because it indicates either inappropriate fluid management or onset of secretion of inappropriate diuretic hormone and can herald impending cerebral edema. It is rare for an infant to develop congestive cardiac failure from supraventricular tachycardia in less than 24 hours. When SVT is present for 24 to 36 hours, about 20% of the infant develop congestive cardiac failure. At 48 hours, this number increases to 50%. Ciliary flush, which is circumcorneal hyperemia, in which conjunctival redness is concentrated adjacent to the cornea, is worrisome as a possible sign of significant ocular pathology such as keratitis, anterior uveitis, or acute angle closure glaucoma. Urgent referral to an ophthalmologist is required. Infants infected in perinatal period with hepatitis B virus have a more than 90% chance of developing chronic hepatitis B infection, and of these 25% go on to develop hepatocellular carcinoma. Newborns diagnosed with chlamydial conjunctivitis should not be treated with topical therapy alone because this will not eradicate organism from upper respiratory tract and may fail to prevent the development of chlamydial pneumonia. Oral macrolide therapy is required. Atopic march is a phenomenon in which about 50% of infants with atopic dermatitis eventually develop asthma and 2/3 develop allergic rhinitis. Acne vulgaris that begins before age 7 years warrant further investigation for endocrine abnormalities such as androgen excess or precocious puberty. While leukemia constitutes most common group of pediatric cancer diagnoses overall, neuroblastoma are more common occurring cancer in children less than 1 year of age. Coughing and choking witnessed or by history occur in 88 to 90% of children with suspected foreign body aspiration, which highlight the importance of questioning about choking in a child who is evaluated for cough. Recommendation to decrease risk of sudden infant death syndrome include placing infant in a non-prone position for sleep, use of firm sleep surface, breastfeeding, room sharing without bed sharing, routine immunization, consideration of a pacifier, and avoidance of soft bedding, overheating, and exposure to tobacco smoke, alcohol, and illicit drugs. Intelligibility increases by about 25% per year, from 25% at age 1 year to 100% at age 4 years. Significantly delayed intelligibility should prompt hearing and language evaluation. Crawling is one of the least valuable markers of development because there is enormous variability in timing of crawling, and a significant percentage of normal infants never crawl before walking. Telogen effluvium, most common cause of diffuse hair loss in children, develop 2 to 5 months after a stressful event such as surgery, birth, or large weight loss, and resolve gradually without therapy. In children with simple opacity such as familial, linear growth is typically enhanced, while in children with endocrinopathies such as Cushing syndrome or hypothyroidism, linear growth is usually impaired. While evaluating children with constipation, the most important physical examination component is rectal examination, because large amounts of stool in rectal wallet almost always indicate functional constipation. Headache that awakens child from sleep is associated with vomiting without nausea, is made worse by straining or cuffing, and has intensity changes with changes in body position, is concerning for pathology that is causing increased intracranial pressure. Components of pre-participation sport physical examination that identify a child at risk for sudden death include Marfanite features, pathological murmurs, weak or delayed femoral pulses, and evidence of arrhythmia, that is rapid or irregular heartbeat. A male child with liver abscess should be considered to have chronic granulomatous disease until proven otherwise. Hypercapnia, that is elevated partial pressure of carbon dioxide, in a child with an acute attack of asthma is a serious sign that the child may be tiring or becoming severely obstructed. A skin scale that bleeds easily on removal, that is Auspitz sign, is characteristic of psoriasis and is due to rupture of capillaries high in the papillary dermis. A pop or snap sensation in setting of acute knee injury is usually associated with anterior cruciate ligament injury, a meniscal injury, or patellar subluxation. Seizures with fever in patient more than 6 years old should not be considered as febrile seizures. Gorlin sign is the ability to touch the tip of the nose with tongue. It can be seen in conditions associated with hypermobility syndromes, such as Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Classic picture of acute appendicitis is anorexia followed by pain, then by nausea and vomiting, with subsequent localization of finding to right lower quadrant. However, there is a large degree of variability, particularly in younger patients. Optimal time for surgical repair of an undescended testis is 12 months of age or shortly thereafter, as spontaneous descent after 9 months is unlikely, and ultrastructure changes in seminiferous tubules can occur in the second year of life unless orchidopexy is performed. Bilingual children develop speech milestone normally. 2 household languages should not be presumed as a cause of speech delay. Asthma rarely causes clubbing in children. Consider other diseases, particularly cystic fibrosis. Most amblyopia is unilateral in children. Vision testing solely with both eyes open is inadequate. Most reliable physical examination finding for a developmentally dysplastic hip in an older infant is limited hip abduction, which occurs as a result of shortening of adductor muscles. In a child with suspected idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura, presence of splenomegaly warrants more aggressive evaluation for an associated problem that is collagen vascular disease, hypersplenism, leukemia, or glycogen storage disease. Best measure of cognitive function in a younger child is receptive language, which should be assessed in a fashion that is free of motor requirements. Two essential features of autism are impaired social interaction and social communication, and second is restricted and repetitive pattern of behavior. Women with primary genital herpes simplex virus infection who are shedding herpes simplex virus at delivery are 10 to 30 times more likely to transmit the virus to their newborn than women with recurrent infection. Polycystic ovarian syndrome, which affect up to 10% of reproductive age females, should be suspected in overweight or obese teenagers with amenorrhea or oligomenorrhea and signs of hyperandrogenism such as hirsutism or acne. Infants with unexplained failure to thrive, weakness, hypotonia, and metabolic acidosis, particularly lactic acidosis, should be evaluated for a possible mitochondrial disorder. Two most consistent prognostic factors for outcome of childhood acute lymphoblastic leukemia are age at presentation, that is less than 1 year or more than 10 years have a worse prognosis, and the second is extent of elevation of initial WBC count, that is 50,000 per cubic millimeter or more have a worse prognosis. Now, fractures that have a high specificity for child abuse in infants are rib fractures, particularly posteromedial, classic metaphyseal lesion of long bones, and fracture of scapula, spinous process, and sternum. Menthol present in antifreeze and windshield washer fluid is the most lethal alcohol and can cause severe refractory metabolic acidosis and permanent retinal damage leading to blindness. 3 or more minor malformations should raise concern about the presence of a major malformation. In a child with suspected rheumatic disease, clinical features that are concerning for malignancy include non-articular bone pain, back pain as primary presenting symptom, bone tenderness, and severe constitutional symptoms. Only 20% of children with intussusception present with classic triad of colicky pain, vomiting, and passage of bloody stools. Neonates with midline lumbosacral lesions such as sacral pits, hypertrichosis, or lipoma above the gluteal crease should have screening imaging of the spine to search for occult spinal dysraphism. Most common worldwide cause of chronic gastrointestinal blood loss is hookworm infection, which is often associated with iron deficiency anemia. An infant with non-syndromic sensorineural hearing loss should be tested for mutation in connexin 26 gene. Mutation in this gene contribute 50% of autosomal recessive hearing loss and about 10 to 20% of all prelingual hearing loss. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment and subscribe to my YouTube channel.